Alright guys, so we briefly talked about symbols back in the data types lecture, back in the, I think it was the second section. Very briefly. We didn't even really talk about what they were. We just established that they were in fact a primitive data type. Okay, and they're part of the ES6 standard. So let's go ahead and experiment a little bit with symbols. So I have my index.html and we're just linking to an app.js file which is completely empty. I have it open over here in my browser. And the unique thing about symbols is that every single one is completely unique, and this makes them very valuable in terms of things like object property identifiers. And this is the main purpose of symbols, is it's their uniqueness. So let's go ahead and create a symbol. Alright, so we can create a variable. Let's say const, we'll call it sim1, and we're going to set it equal to symbol, just like that. Alright, now it's not new symbol. Okay, we'll get an error because there's no constructor. It's an actual primitive value. Okay, we can also add an identifier inside of our symbol if we want. So right here, if we want to say like sim2, we'll set this variable to sim2. And if we go ahead and console.log, let's say sim1, it's just going to simply give us symbol. If we log sim2, it'll give us symbol along with that identifier. Alright, now if we want to look at the type, we can say type, we can use the type of operator, and that gives us symbol. Okay, so this is this tells us that this is a primitive data value. So it doesn't return the type object or anything like that. It's a pure primitive value, which is symbol. Alright, or pure primitive type. Now, no two symbols can be the same. So even if we were to do, let's say console.log, and let's say symbol equal to symbol. Okay, so if we do that and we save, we're going to get false. Okay, because they can never equal, they can never be the same. Even if we put the same identifier in here, we'll say 1, 2, 3, and save, still false. Alright, if we were to try to use a symbol inside of a string, like if we were to put, let's use backticks here, and we'll just say hello, and we'll put in the sim1 variable. If we go ahead and run that, we're going to get cannot convert symbol value to a string, but if we wanted to, we could wrap it in the string function. Whoops, I'm sorry, string should be in here. So we could go like that, and we'll get hello symbol. You could also do, if you don't want to wrap it in the string, I mean, there's not too many reasons you do this, but just to show you can, you could also do toString like that, and that'll work. Alright. So now let's get into one of the main reasons for symbols, and that is unique object keys. Alright, so if we were to create, let's say, key1 and set this equal to symbol, and we'll say const key2, and set that to symbol. We'll even give this one an ID of sim2. Alright, and I'm just going to comment those out. Alright, and then what we could do is create an object. So we'll say my obj, set that to an object, and then we can add these as keys. Alright, now whenever you want to use a variable as a key, you don't want to go like this, key1 equals, and we'll say prop1, because what it's doing is it's just looking at this as a normal property. Alright, if you want to use an actual variable, then you want to use the bracket syntax like this. Alright, so that first one was not using this variable, it was just using key1 as a property. In this case, we're using the actual symbol as a property. Alright, and if we wanted to create another one, we could do key2 and set that as prop2. Alright, and if we console.log, and we'll do my obj dot, or not dot, key 1 and save, and we get prop 1. If we console log my obj with key 2, we should get prop 2. Alright, so there are some things that that work a little different with symbols. For one, if we were to loop through my obj using for in, then it wouldn't actually show up in the iteration because they're not enumerable in for in iteration. So let me show you what I mean. So I'm going to say symbols are not enumerable in for in. So if we were to say for, let's say for let I in my obj, and then what I'm going to do before I do anything in here, I'm going to go ahead and just add to the my object, but not using a symbol. I'm just going to say my obj dot, we'll call it key 3, but remember this isn't a symbol, it's just a simple property, and we'll set that to prop 3, and let's say my obj dot key 4 equals prop 4. So down here we'll go ahead and we'll console dot log, and let's get the key and the value. So I will give us the key. I'm just going to put up some backticks in here, and we'll say I, which will give us the key, and then to get the value we'll say my obj I, like that. Alright, we'll save, and actually we need to get rid of these consoles and save, and now you'll see we just get key 3 and key 4. Okay, we're looping through this the my obj, which has all of these in it, the 2 symbols and the 2 regular properties, yet only the 2 regular properties are showing up here because symbols again are not enumerable for in loops. Okay, so just remember that. Another thing is that symbols are ignored when using JSON.stringify. Alright, now JSON.stringify, what it does is it takes a JavaScript object literal and turns it into a JSON string. So let me give you an example. First of all, I'm going to put a comment here that says symbols are ignored by JSON.stringify. So we'll say console.log, and let's say JSON.stringify, and we'll go ahead and put a regular object in here. We'll just say key, and we'll set that to the string of prop. So if we save that, you'll go, I'm just gonna comment that out, you'll see that it logs it as a JSON string. Alright, now if we were to do the same thing here using a symbol as a key, so let's get rid of that, and we'll just go ahead and put in brackets and say symbol, let's say symbol, and we'll give it an ID of sim1, and we'll go ahead and save, and you'll see that it's just an empty object. Okay, so it doesn't actually parse as this one did. Okay, so just some things that are just different when you're using symbols. Alright, so I think that's going to do it for now for symbols. In the next video, what I want to do is talk about error handling. We haven't really got into that yet. I want to talk about try-catch blocks and how to throw errors, things like that. Alright, so I will see you in the next lecture.